So let's get underway with that big story of the week, and it's the new XDiavel V4 from Ducati. Basically, the Diavel started life in 2011 as a V-twin with a really sporty and lithe chassis that made it, I think, the best performing power cruiser on the market. Then, in 2016, they introduced the option of the XDiavel, and while a lot of the rudiments are very much the same as the standard bike, they just chilled it out a bit, especially in the riding position, with forward foot controls as opposed to the mid-pegs of the standard Diavel. Subsequently, both bikes have evolved a little bit over the years, but there was a major update in 2023 where Ducati moved the Diavel over to their V4 platform, following on from the Panigale, the Street Fighter, and also the Multistrada adventure bike. This new Diavel V4 was absolutely wild, and it still is, with a riding experience that feels much more similar to a Super Naked in many ways than it does to anything on the cruiser market. The free revving V4 engine with 168 horsepower is blisteringly quick, and the rest of the spec of the bike, including the brakes and suspension and the rider aids and tech, is absolutely up to the job as well. Really, the only thing that distinguishes it from a sporty naked is the oversized dimensions and perhaps the slightly lower than average seat height. But look, when they made that update to the Diavel V4, the XDiavel, well, that stayed as a 1260 V-twin with just a few special additions here and there over the years to keep it looking kind of fresh. Today, though, they announced that this model is also making that leap over to the V4 platform, and boy, does this thing look good. Naturally, it gets the same V4 Gran Turismo engine as the regular Diavel V4, and that means the same ridiculous performance figures of 168 horsepower peak at 10,750 RPM and 126 Nm of peak torque at 7,500. All of the same features are carried over as well, with the extended rear cylinder deactivation, which keeps the rider cool at lower speeds as well as helping with fuel economy. A counter-rotating crank also works against the gyroscopic inertia of the wheels to help with agility, and it gets the signature twin pulse firing interval, which gives the Ducati V4s their own distinctive character, projected out through a quad exit silencer just to really ram home that it's moved to a V4. As for the chassis, well, the signature steel trellis frame makes way for their aluminium monocoque front frame, along with an aluminium swing arm and an aluminium subframe, which are attached to the rear of the engine, which accounts for a large part now of the bike's structure. The result is a bit of a weight saving over the 1260 V-twin versions. They say between 4 and 6 kilograms, depending on which spec. And while that isn't necessarily a mammoth amount saved, you're coming from what was already one of the lightest cruisers on the market by some stretch. Wet without fuel, they're saying this new bike comes in at 229 kilograms. So with the big 20-litre tank fully topped up, you're probably looking at about 245 kilos. Now, for reference, one of the closest competitors has to be Triumph's Rocket 3 GT, and that comes in at, I think, 317 kilograms fully fueled up wet. So that's a good 70-ish kilos, which is basically the equivalent of carrying, a middle-sized passenger. As with before, the components are top drawer as well. You've got a chunky 50mm upside-down fork and a piggyback shock at the rear, both of which are fully adjustable. Brembo style and brake calipers up front on big 330mm discs. And then Pirelli Diablo Rosso 3 tyres with that massive 240 section at the rear. The list of tech as well, again, is relentless, with 4 riding modes, cornering traction control and ABS, wheelie control, launch control, a quick shifter, keyless ignition, LED lighting with a welcome function, TPMS is available, phone connectivity, and it's all managed through a 6.9-inch color TFT display, which has a whole bunch of different ways that you can lay it out. So clearly, a bike that's built to perform, but just with a slightly more relaxed cruiser riding position and a low seat height of 770mm. But I will say, aside from, the spec and how it looks like it'll go, I absolutely love the styling on this one, and I think it's just got a bit more finesse than the standard Diavel V4, which is a bit more aggressive in the styling. They've softened the look of this one a bit with the more rounded headlight, but also the sculpting of the side panels and the tail end just altogether looks a bit more tidy to me. 2 colours are available, of course, with a stealthy black lava, but I think my pick of the two would be the burning red, which is a bit of a departure from the usual flat Ducati red, but I actually think it's got a bit of depth to it, which gives it a bit of a feel of quality. And so yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing this one in the flesh. Now, no price on this one as of the time of writing this video, but a standard Diavel V4 stars at £23,995. So if you're expecting or hoping for a bit of a bargain with this XDiavel, then you're probably going to be fairly disappointed. Still, let me know what you think of it in the comments. Is this the most desirable power cruiser now on the market, or is there something else that you'd rather have, like the Rocket 3 or maybe one of the Harley lineup? Let me know down in the comments below.